Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News at the South Florida Conservative News Center. It is Saturday, October 11th, quarter to 6 in the evening. The bullshit doesn't stop around here. At least today it doesn't. So, once again, we have to address fake concerns by the false media about how we are owned by yet another country, this time not Israel, but Qatar or Qatar, however you want to say it, those guys. The story, of course, has been that the Qataris are going to be opening a military base on U.S. soil, and that is just another thing. And Tim Pool, what a dick sucker, right? And he's been traveling with this story all day and all day yesterday, I think. I mean, really, come on. Talk how the mighty have fallen, right? So let's just cover it. It's just 5 minutes. Qatar building a is building a military base on U.S. soil. Outrage. Tim Pool, wet in the vagina, eyes misty. Who knows what else is going on with the different ones? Probably Carlson and the rest of them telling you what dupes we are. Who are we really puppets of? Is it the Arabs? Is it the Jews? Is it the aliens? We always are puppets of somebody if one were to listen to most of these media channels instead of just doing 5 minutes worth of research, not even using ChatGPT or calling your Uncle Phil up. So, what's really being built? What's going to go into Idaho is not a Qatari base. It is a training facility located inside of a U.S. Air Force base, which is called Mountain Home Air Base. It's fully under control of the United States military. And why are they doing this? Because the Qataris have recently bought 36 US made F-15 fighter jets. It's a high-end aircraft from days gone past. It's cool as shit, and it's still pretty lethal. Okay? It is an aircraft that takes years of training to master. They do not have the infrastructure or the instructors to train pilots back in Qatar. The Qataris are not known for flying jets. They are not known for doing much militarily, except for, as you know, sponsoring terrorism against the West. So this is a welcome diversion that they're doing this. Okay. They don't have this infrastructure. They're too close to Iran. They're too close to Yemen. And unfortunately for them, they probably aren't sure at this point in the vetting cycle if this is a regular Qatari, is he going to turn around and run that thing into their gas field, right? At least out in Idaho, we can shoot it down. Let's not go into that angle. I just thought I'd throw that out there early. All right. So they don't have the infrastructure, the instructors to train the pilots. This is a decade to get the task done. So that's what's going on there. They are coming to the United States to have the United States train the people in how to fly the jet. And that is it. It is not a sovereignty issue. It's not colonization. It is a customer training program that the U.S. controls and profits from. We probably wouldn't do it if they didn't pay for all of this because Trump knows what would happen if he gave the Qataris anything for free. People would go crazy just the same way they did when the Qataris gave him Air Force One, right? Why is this good for America? First of all, here's what's the important thing that I just told you. Training a single fighter pilot, and this is rough number. This isn't the brand new one. This is a guy coming into the service. You're going from prop aircraft up to jet aircraft. This means they have no pilots at all really to deal with. They're having to learn how to fly in general, and then to get a better and better plane, and that can run between $8 and $11 million per pilot. Now multiply that by the dozens of Qatari pilots and the maintenance crews and the support staff they'll be sending. They have to learn how to maintain the jet aircraft. They have to know how to maintain the ordnance. They have to learn how to do all that stuff, loading and unloading the weapon systems, checking the computer. There's a lot to it. It's more than just putting the drinks in and checking the air and the tires. It's not the old days. That's hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to be flowing into our economy and that base and our aerospace workforce, not out of it because we aren't giving it away. And the kicker is, as I said, Qatar is going to pay for it all. They pay the bills, they assume the risks, and U.S. retains control over the training grounds and airspace. So for Washington and the Pentagon, this is a win-win. Our instructors, and they were probably phasing some of them out. The F-15 is still in the arsenal, but you have the F-35, what's the other one, F-24 or something. There's Joint Strike, there's Lightning, there's a whole bunch of other shit going on. Usually, instruction of an aircraft gets a little bit confining. You don't just jump in every plane and fly it, right? So this allows our instructors to get more flight hours and experience in the training. Our defense industry keeps workers busy because there's a lot to fix on these planes. I think they're down 30 some percent of the time. And the taxpayers are not spending money. Once again, the taxpayers are not spending money. The Qataris do not own the base. The Qataris are guests of the United States government and stay here until we decide to kick them the hell out. Now, to understand why they're doing this, you have to look at their military history. And this is most of the services in that area. Until recently, the Qatari Air Force was non-existent. All right. As I said, they had a couple of old French Mirage jets, a few transports, and that's it. A lot of them I don't think were even flown by nationals. They were flown by other people. Then came 2017, where Qatar was blockaded by its Gulf neighbors, which are Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt. And that woke them up. Okay. And they said to themselves, we can't depend on anyone else to defend our skies. So they went on a shopping spree and they bought F-15s from us. They bought Typhoons from Britain and the Rafale from France. And these are all older planes, but they're still good enough to deal with their Arab neighbors with. But there's a catch when you suddenly buy three different generations of high performance fighters that are not in any way, shape, or form related to each other as a platform. You need pilots, ground crews, and maintenance systems that don't yet exist. And you can't build that infrastructure overnight or safely in your small little airspace, which is packed to the gills with natural gas. Basically, the country of Qatar is one big natural gas field. So where are you going to have your aircraft accident, right? You can't. So the U.S. base in Idaho becomes a perfect classroom. And that's, I hate to tell you, they can crash shit there all day and they're not going to hurt anybody. Now, the critics are going to point out that Saudi Arabia trains its pilots at home, so why they can't take Qataris? And I will say, simple, see what I just told you 5 minutes ago. The Saudi Arabians have been building their capability for decades. They have the King Faisal Air Academy. They have fleets of training aircraft. In the old days, royal family members would buy their own jets. If you ever heard that story, because it was like you were the cavalry. So you would buy your own jet, and that's how you became a flight officer. You were part of the royal family doing it. Yeah, I think you saw that in Kuwait, the Kuwaiti era, when they would talk about that. And they have thousands of flight hours logged in country. And as I said, Qatar has zero. So they're outsourcing the work because they realize they're a very small population of country. In my man, they've always been eternally lazy. They are. You would be better off learning Tagalog if you were to go to Qatar for a long time because there is a huge amount of the Filipinos in the service industry. The Pakistanis, I think, do most of the regular grunt work. So you're better off with either of those languages if you were going to stay there for a while. And this is the same model that we've used with Singapore, Germany, and Japan. Obviously, big treasonous countries to us, right? And other allies who train here under American supervision, meaning en los Estados Unidos. And to anyone still worried about the foreign control, here's the bottom line. Like I said, this has been all day with just bullshit stuff. I can see why Trump doesn't talk to anybody anymore. The U.S. military governs Mountain Home Air Force Base. The Qatari personnel will be there under U.S. authority and scrutiny, big letters, scrutiny, subject to our laws, our security, and our command structure. If anything goes wrong, it's American jurisdiction. We do what we have to do to them when we have to do it. This is the same cooperative framework that's existed for decades under the Foreign Military Sales Program. You can look that up. So while the internet's out there losing its mind over the Qatari colonization, oh, there's Trump again sucking up to the Arabs. Well, who is he sucking up to? He's sucking up to the Arabs or he's sucking up to the Israelis? Make up your mind. He can't be sucking up to both sides of the conflict, right? Or are you going to make it sound what is true is there is no other conflict out there? It is a small group of disenfranchised terrorists and the people that support them, and the rest of the Arab world and the Israelis that are trying to move forward, but need to be protected from places like Iran and Yemen and a number of others. And even from each other, depending on what month it is, right? Or what color, if the color blue shows up. So we are training an ally here. We are getting paid for it. We're keeping our instructors sharp. It's a very good deal. The outrageous headlines are going to be what they're going to be. So we are not being colonized. We are not going to have to deal with everything being halal. There will be obviously the dietary issues, which will come up. If they do, that will be handled. That'll be another thing. U.S. Air Force bows to halal. Next thing will be Sharia law. No, it won't. People have to understand that this is just certain things you do. We have the Western Hemispheric, was it, Western Hemispheric International Security School, John F. Kennedy campus, which is up at Fort Benning now. It's been up there forever, but it's changed its name. This school is taught to the Central and South Americans. The classes are taught in Spanish to keep them, more in touch with things. I personally, Deb, disagree with a lot of the stuff that goes on with that as far as they should be more American immersive. This gives us a chance to be American immersive with a key, like it or not, ally in the Middle East. And they're going to say, oh, how do you get them to stop putting money into terrorism? You have to have them have a reason, which would be, I finally met the white devils and they're not quite as bad as people say they are. That's one way to do it. That's trying to have an open mind, not being an asshole. As I said earlier, we can kill them all day, but you have to have the political will to do it. The United States does not do that kind of stuff. People will talk that shit until they realize what it is going to entail to do it. All right. You want to lose your soul? That's fine. We can find jobs for you. You can get it done. It is easier for us to do as the Romans would do, which is to bring them to Rome, show them the might of the country, and make it where they never, ever want to mess with us again. And this way, we are balancing that with education. We are balancing that without having to go into our pockets for anything. And it's an already existing facility that's just having more tarmac put on it, probably. They're building, hangars. They're going to build different runways and stuff like that, control towers and things of that nature, and facilities to manage and maintain the aircraft. Basically, because they went out and bought three different kinds of airplanes from three different countries that had no similar coordinating or connecting function. Why they do that, I don't know. That's how they all do it. So that's about all. Have a good evening. Hopefully, we won't have to do any more of these this weekend, but I'm sure some stupid shit will come up. Any questions or comments, feel free to put them in here. As we always say, if you have any other issues out there on any of these subjects that we do not cover, but you think we should, send them and just say for Frank to look at or whatever. I'll do that. And that's about it. Have a good night.